Welcome to the second half of KISS Community Connections, 103.1 KISS FM. I'm Phyllis Jones, your host and guest for this morning. I know first y'all heard me on my election soapbox, to which y'all should have expected that. You know how I am. So you know that soapbox was coming. It was just a matter of when. But now we're going to shift gears all the way to another direction. In fact, we're going to talk about two topics. One, we're going to talk about our schools and what we need to do. And then we're going to talk about something else that's coming up within education. So our schools, our high schools in Central Texas. High schools have gotten, the violence has went from just in school to off campuses. And it's going on at all the high schools. It's going on at the high school in Killeen, in Heights, in Carpers Cove. All of a sudden, these fights have broken out. And like I said, they used to be on campus, but they've extended away from campus. And it's just, it's out of control. There's no other word to put it but out of control. And we need to do something about it as a community. I know, people want to blame all the school districts. And the school districts are blaming somebody else. So right now, all we got going is the blame game. Well, as long as we keep blaming, the kids are going to keep fighting because they understand the fact that they've confused the heck out of everybody. So they can do this. They can fight all day long. I mean, because, common sense. If I can fight and keep you confused, I can just keep on fighting. I can just keep doing all this because we're all sitting around blaming everybody. But you know what? This is a community problem. Those are our kids. You might say no, they're not, but they are. Those are our kids. The kids are ours, and I'm not talking about in color. The kids are our kids. These kids are of our today. They're not of our future because they're living. They're our today, and we're teaching them right now that the more you fight, the more we're going to continuously blame somebody else. So you know what? The community needs to step in. Now I know at Shoemaker there was a meeting and. That was it. It was a meeting, but we haven't seen anything happen. So what's the next step? Next step is a lot of people. We need to be calling our superintendent, and we need to be asking for meetings and say what's going to happen. In our Central Texas area, we have car clubs, we have bike clubs, we have fraternities, we have sororities, we have think tanks, we have business groups. We have so many organizations and groups and everybody around, and they've not been contacted to say, what can you do? And neither have they contacted our superintendent, our superintendent, to ask him to tell him what we can do. Because a lot of times it's not about asking, what do you want us to do? Most of us all remember growing up in school where there was a fight on Friday. When I was coming up, it was a fight on Friday. Okay, what happened Monday through whatever, the fight was Friday, and basically the fight didn't really happen because somebody somewhere, the teachers found out, and they were outside waiting for the fight on Friday, so you just went on home. The fight didn't happen in the next street. You just went home and said, okay, forget about it. That way they busted us, so we can't fight now. So the fight ended. Well, that's not happening now. The kids are actually fighting on campus. They're fighting off campus. And when they fight off campus, you have people blaming each other. Still, it's a community thing. So amongst our Central Texas area, all of our groups and associations and clubs need to formulate a plan with the superintendent and say, this is what we will do. Because obviously it's not working the other way around. Yes, we do have somebody in KISD that's supposed to be reaching out to the groups and organizations to get it done. But it's not happening fast enough because the fights are still going on. So community, everybody, it's our job to step up and say, this is what we will do. This is what we are going to do. And also in our communities, in our areas, we've seen a spurt of robberies and break-ins and just craziness going on and shooting. And majority of them, when you see who they are young people. So, community, we have a lot to do. And, a lot of times we sit back and we go, who's going to start it? Who's going to do it? Who's going to jump in? Who? Well, guess what? I often, if you all know, Minister Robert Muhammad is on the show quite often. So he has proposed on Wednesday, this Wednesday, at 7:30 at Glendora's Caribbean Guyanese Restaurant, which is 715 East Veterans Memorial Boulevard on the corner of Gilmer. This Wednesday, 7:30, that he gets 50 to 75 stand-up men. They don't have to be all African-American men, just stand-up men. What I mean by stand-up men, men are ready to take to, and I'm not going to say take back the community because we never gave it away, but to take care of the community and to take some steps in stopping this amongst the people. So 10 to 75 stand-up men need to be at Glendora's on Wednesday at 7:30. Glendora's is 715 East Veterans Memorial Boulevard on the corner of Gilmer. So you need to be there. Because you know what? In Austin, they have a plan of action that they're actually doing. So if they have a plan of action, that means men come to the table with your pen and pencil and don't just talk. Because if he has a plan of action, you need to do it. Because we spend too much time talking. You know, every month talking and talking. Well, as you're talking, the negative things are still happening. So he's coming to Killeen. If you know, he's in Killeen a whole lot. So he might, I think, he might have to move here and live in Austin at the same time. But he stepped up to step out to say, okay, Ben, let's get this going. Why men? Because men are supposed to be our leaders of our community. So we need that to happen to help stop the violence in our schools and to help stop the violence in our communities, because it's gone too far. When it happens twice, that's too far. You know, and it's not a color thing, because we're a melting pot in Central Texas. It's our youth are out there now. You know, I read a lot on Facebook, and people always say it's the parents' fault. Nah, we can't blame the parents, because you know what? Your kid is in school majority of his day. Majority of your child's waking hours, he's at school. He's not under your control. Now, you might have taught him A, B, and C, but he's under the control of school the majority of his or her waking hours of the day. And since you, the parent, you don't know what peer pressure your kid is facing, because they're not going to tell you everything. So all this blaming the parents, no. And it's easy to blame parents when you don't have any kids in school. That's the easy one. So we cannot say it's all the parents' fault. Because, you know, I did things in school that I know my parents taught me better than that, but I surely did it in school anyway. And all of us can attest to that. You can't, everybody can attest to the fact that, yep, you did things in school, outside of school, that your parents taught you not to do, but you did it. So we can't blame the parents and wash our hands and say, you know what, the parents' fault, they need to raise their kids better. No, that's not it. It's not a community problem, and we as a community need to solve it. You know, everybody will talk about the village concept, but the villagers are not taking care of the villagee. So I'll say our kids are living in the wrong village, because we're not doing anything about it. We're simply having meetings to talk about how to better something. Well, you can have only so many meetings without a plan. So Wednesday, 7:30, Glendora's, stand up men, be there, and let's talk about and get a plan, work the plan of action, and actually do it. And don't think they're going home every day from work, making sure your kids and everything are straight, and then you cool for the day. No, our forefathers didn't do that. And I'm not going to say our forefathers way back when. I'll say our forefathers of a couple of generations ago. They didn't do that. They made sure their family was okay. Then they went out to the community. And a lot of them took their families with them. And they made sure everything was okay. So we can't say we don't have time to do that, because we work less hours than they did. We work way less hours. We have more free evenings than they did. We have technology and they did not. We have all these things at hand that they did not, which makes us, one, faster, which makes us more smarter, because we have what's needed as today, where they didn't. So if they could do what they did then, and all the technology and everything we have now, we can't do it now, then we've messed up. And the word of I don't have time shouldn't exist, because you do have time. You do. Everybody has at least an hour a week, And I'm just stretching that a week, which, everybody's got time. So we need to, and if you don't have time, you need to make time, because this is your community. And like I said, we're not taking it back because we didn't give it away, but we're going to work it to make sure that all this craziness stops. On my show a couple of weeks ago, I had some young men on here, and some older men on here. And what the younger men said was that they got left. that the men left them. Some of the men went and joined the military. It's not fault of that, but they did, and that's great. But they forgot the neighborhoods. Some men got jobs, and they got 2 or 3 jobs. They forgot the neighborhoods, so things have went their way. So men, stand up and be about it. Okay, so I'm in on that soapbox. Now I'm on another one. This is my soapbox Sunday. Education. Next year, in August, education will change. And we shortened it to call it ESSA, but it's Every Student Succeeds Act. It's the United States, so nobody think it's just Texas. No, it's out in the United States. It's Every Student Succeeds Act. We call it ESSA, ESSA. So I need parents to look it up. I need grandparents to I need everybody to look it up and find out exactly what it is. But it's a new recording system that all schools will use for our children. And I mean all of our children. If you have special needs kids, it's the whole curriculum. It's all of that in one. But you need to study it because our kids will be a part of it next year. I was lucky enough to go to a boot camp, ESSA boot camp. In fact, we formed a group. There's 10 of us in Texas, just 10 right now, and we've been trained. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold community meetings to teach everyone else what ESSA is. Because when there's a new education concept come out, we need to know what it is. So we need to understand it. We don't need kids to come home to say, you know what, we're going to be doing ESSA right now, and you're going to look at them like they spoke some other foreign language. We need to know what it is our kids are going to be doing. We need to know what the new grading period is going to be. We need to understand what the new grading system is going to be about. So I need you to look up ESSA, ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, and I need you to study it and know all about it. And when we give trainings, we're going to give trainings throughout Texas. The first one we're going to do will be in Austin. It's going to be at the Urban League office in Austin. We're going to train and teach and walk everybody through what ESSA is and what it's all about and why it is. ESSA is replacing No Child Left Behind. Because as we know, No Child Left Behind left more children behind. When that's not what it was designed to do, but it did. It left more children behind. So ESSA is replacing No Child Left Behind. Most states don't use it anyway. They stopped using it when they realized exactly what was going on. But ESSA now, we are ahead of it because we know it's going to start next year in schools in August. When schools begin, it's in effect. So we have months to study it, to talk about it. Our education commissioner, we will be the 10 of us or group. We're going to meet with him to see where he is on it because he still has to write out how it will be implemented in Texas. He's working on that right now. We've made one contact with him and he's working it out. Now you think we've already had the training, but he's working it out. So if you hear what I'm saying, he's behind us. We're ahead of him. We've asked him, does he have all the things that we got doing our training, our boot camp training, and he doesn't. So we're working with him to get it done right because he has until December 31st to do this, to get it laid out in plans, because then he's going to have to teach it and have each school district understand what they have to do for next school year. So we need to be proactive about it. We need to study it. We need to look it up. We need to go to the website, read it and research it. Because, like I said, this is going to change the whole dynamics of the ratings for our schools and the way we do what we do now. So it's going to change. So I'm telling you to be proactive parent, be a proactive community person, be a proactive leader. Whatever you are, it's time to be proactive about it. So when it does come in, you've already known. You've already got it. Email our education commissioner. Read what he has. Subscribe to what he does and watch what he's doing. You can do that. It's a matter of an email. That's it. Don't say you have time, because you do have time. And you got to remember, our kids are today. So if we don't raise them and get them done, get them in the correct, proper ways of walking and thinking, remember, when we get older, they be voting on us and we won't know what the heck is going on. So we need to educate them now, right now. And we need to educate ourselves on what ESSA is. And I said we shortened it to call it ESSA. That's what it is called. But it's Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, however you want to do it. We call it, like I said, we call it ESSA. We need to be above it, before it, right now. So next time I talk about it and go in depth in it, you're going in depth with me. I'm not going in depth by myself. We will do workshops. Like I said, the first one's going to be in Austin. We're going to do one in Houston and all the bigger major cities. And yes, I'm going to do one in our Central Texas area. We'll do one, but we're going to do them all within the next couple of months, because we want everybody to have a jump start. We went to the boot camp. We went to 2 boot camps, and then we conference calls, and we have an email group. So we're keeping ourselves aware and abreast on how it's working and changing within our different states. The boot camp we went to contained people from all the states. So it wasn't just Texas, but each state had its own table, and there were 10 of us from Texas that were there. And we now know each other, which makes us an even stronger group. And we're all from different groups and different organizations. We're sitting there and getting ready to learn about it and study it. And I swear I was going back to college with some of the stuff that we had to study. But like I said, it changed the rating systems in our schools. So our schools are going to go through a whole new change, where we'll be getting rid of one and adding something else. But parents, you need to be up with it. Grandparents, you need to be up with it. Community people, you need to know about it, because whenever something's about education, we need to be ready. Also, I issued a challenge a little while ago, so I want to see how many people have done it. Staying along with education, you know, our kids still have to take the TEKS test. So I want everybody to go get the 5th grade TEKS social studies book. I want you to go get a high school TEKS social studies book, and I want you to read it. Next year in June, we'll have an opportunity to go to the Texas State Board of Education to talk about that social studies book. So I want you to go and read it, so you can join forces with us to talk about it, and we'll see what it says, because what it says is what your kid is learning. And if you don't know what your kid is learning, then you don't know what to teach them, because the missing points in that book, we need to fix it. The missing points in that book, we as parents, as parents, grandparents, as community people, we need to make sure that our kids know the truth or what's missing. And you can't teach them what's missing and what's not in the book unless you've read it. So I'm challenging everybody again to go get your 5th grade social studies TEKS, high school social studies TEKS. I want you to read that book in depth, and then I want you to let me know what you think about it after you've read it, because everybody's history in there is distorted. And that's what our kids are learning. That's what they're processing. So when you don't say anything at home, they're stuck with that education they get in that book. And you want to know why our children aren't such historically strong, and why some of their history, they're okay with whatever happened, because the words have been changed. And you know, if I change one word in a whole sentence, that can change the whole sentence. And to give you an example, if those of us, you know your history, there was a triangular slave trade. Okay, that means something. But in your Texas TEKS, it just says triangular trade. So taking that one word out changes the whole dynamics of it, because triangular trade could have been rice. It could have been sugar. It could have been wheat. It could have been a whole bunch of stuff, because it's just called the triangular trade. So that changes the whole meaning of it. So when your kids learn about the triangular trade in school, they learn nothing bad. They learn all great. It was a big trade system going on. That's all they know. But as we know, there was a missing word. So that missing word changed the whole dynamics of that sentence, whole dynamics of what it is. And when you tell them what it is, they're going to look at you like you're crazy, because that's what our kids are learning. And that's what we've let them learn. That's what we fell off at. So you want to know why our kids are soft on their own history? Because the book is. Because we haven't read the book. Have I read the book? Yes, I did. Like I said, if it didn't belong to school, I'd have thrown it in the middle of the street. But it belonged to the school, so I had to return it. Have I read the high school social studies text? Of course I did. Of course I did. Took notes from it. Took pictures of the book because I can't keep it. But I read the book. And I even contacted the company to ask them where they get their history from. And surprisingly, in the last 4 months, they haven't answered me back yet. So you know what? That means they can't prove to me where they got the information from because I've asked them for it. So they can't give it to me. So you know what, Central Texas, we have a lot to do. In this hour, I've given you all my soapbox thoughts and certain things we need to do. But if we want to be a better people, and I mean all of us, then we need to take the stance we need to take. We need to read and educate ourselves and stop saying I don't have time. Because if you don't have time, then don't be on Facebook. Quit playing those video games. If you don't have time, stop all those things, and I bet you'll find the time. I want to thank you for listening to Kids Community Connections this morning. And as we always will say, you cannot lead a positive life with a negative mindset. We'll talk to you next Sunday. Bye now.